Speaker was born in Harlem, New York. He's an African-American former track and field athlete, the highest order, professional football player, and a founding member of the Olympic Project for Human Rights. And given that we've got warships going to be floating up the Thames, missiles on top of our buildings, the riot police out to stop any kind of legitimate protest, I think we need an Olympic Project for Human Rights. This man won the bronze medal in the 200 metres race in the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. Alongside his brother, comrade, fellow athlete Tommie Smith, they made a protest that was a lightning rod for the oppression of the United States and around the world. And we shouldn't forget Peter Norman as well, the Australian who stood with him. This man is a man we all grew up with, one way or another. An image, the powerful statement that he made, and the journey he made from there, which we're going to hear about tonight. Just published a book, The John Carlos Story, with Dave Zirin, who's going to speak later on, next to John. But without further ado, I'm going to ask you to give a warm welcome and solidarity to John Carlos.
I don't think I can go anywhere on planet Earth that be received with as much love as I've received in this building tonight. But let me just say this, I'm not really here for
Swear will fall apart.
Why not do like this? Can you hear me okay?
No. Just be plugged.
About now. I'll say what I said earlier was I don't think I can go anywhere on planet Earth and receive as much love as I received in this building tonight. For the two young ladies that preceded me as well. Let me just start by saying, you know, I heard you mention about me winning a bronze medal. And I heard a whole round of applause. My life is not about winning medals. My life is about being a freedom fighter. You know, I went to Occupy Wall Street a few months back, and I told those people that I'm there for them. Why am I there for them? Because I am them. You know, when you sit back and you think about a war that we had 44 years ago, we set out to win the war, but the war has not been won yet, and that's why I'm still here. That's why you're here. We must come together as a unified body to fight against the demon that we're fighting against. It's not just here in the UK, it's in the United States. And when you sit back and you think about colonialism, it's spread out throughout the world. When you see death and destruction in terms of the police department, they read the pamphlet. They know people of color, as I say, they can see me 5 blocks away walking in. Then when you see sprinkled along the line, when we see the various ethnic groups in this auditorium tonight, Those white individuals in here, they dislike you as much as me. They call you a nigger lover. They say you're traitors to your own people. And it's not about what they're trying to put the tag on about black and white. See, that's the way they want us to believe, that it's black and white. But it's about right versus wrong. You know? Let me tell you, a guy years ago named Nelson Mandela. When Nelson Mandela went to jail, he didn't go to jail for fighting about the fact that black people in Africa were being held back. He fought because it was wrong, because they were human beings. When he came out, he didn't just embrace black people, he embraced all people. He didn't bend like a rope or a rubber band. He stood fast, he stood firm, and he still stands that way today. Dr. Martin Luther King, the same individual, they call him the King of Peace. But as well as Dr. King left this world based on his beliefs about justice and freedom and equality for all individuals, they had another guy across the street from him named Malcolm X. Malcolm made a statement and said, by any means necessary. They tried to pit Dr. King against Malcolm X. But in this war that we're in, you have to remember that both of them perished in the same vein. They might have taken their flesh, but they're not taking their will. Their will lives through you right here today. We have a tremendous fight ahead of us. We as a unit must realize that we have to roll like a steamroller. And the only way we're going to roll like a steamroller is we have to be in the position to recruit. We have to go out and find young recruits. Why? Because I can see back in time when I was a young man and I had a vision like an old man. Now I'm an old man. And I'm starting to think, who am I going to pass the baton to? Who's going to pick up the fight? This fight that we have for justice and equality is not something that's going to be won in next year or next 100 years. Because racism, bias, prejudice is weaved into our society throughout life. It's not something that you're going to be able to just cook it out, roll it out. This is something that we have to fight to put out. It's a constant job. Let me tell you about young individuals that went to me years ago when I had this vision with a few other young individuals about a new paradigm, a new vision, to try and make the human race better, make it produce more, to give everyone equal ground to stand on. I remember I went to my fellow athletes and I said to them, I said, guys, we created this program called Olympic Project for Human Rights. We'd like you guys to consider becoming members. But what does this program consist of? Well, we consisted of potentially boycotting the 1968 Olympics. Oh, no, you got to be kidding. Step back from the Olympic Games? Sacrifice my 15 minutes in the sun? I promised my mother I was going to win a medal. My kids said, Daddy, how many medals you bringing home? I owe it to myself for the days I trained to go to the Olympic Games. I said, well, man, your quest is 15 minutes in the sun. 15 minutes in the sun out of a lifetime. 15 days after you get your 15 minutes, they wouldn't know your name. Mind you now, this is not to take anything away from any young athlete. I think they're like animals that God put into this earth for them to excel, for the world to see their talents. But we felt that something was far more important at the moment in terms of humanity, to deal with every culture, every ethnicity that walked the face of the earth, to give everyone an equal opportunity. This is my plight. Would you go with me? No, man, I don't know whether I can do that. But would you take some time out of your life and just get on this train with me? Would you get on this train so we can have some dialogue and some discussion. Maybe you can make me understand why this medal is such an important value to you in life. And maybe I can educate you as to what humanity is all about and what we can do to make it better for your kids and your kids' kids. Would you be willing to do that? Yeah, we can do that. Or we got on the train in America and we started the train rolling, and as we rolled was many people along the side of the train, just like the presidential election. They were all out there with their American flags, and they were singing, God bless America. Everybody sing the song, they're all happy because they're warriors on the train. It's like going to the war. Yeah, okay, we had this discussion, and through the discussion, we came to a consensus that, hey, you know something, man, I'm more enlightened about this Olympic project for human rights. Maybe I can consider this a lot more than I thought about it one time. You mean we have a consensus? We can possibly pull off a boycott? Yes, I believe we can. Well, let's stop the train. Well, why are we stopping the train? Well, I don't want it to be known just amongst you and I that we have this consensus that possibly we can do a boycott. We need to let the world know. So how do we do that? We put the banners on the side of the train, 1968 potential boycott. All those founding brothers that was there, we felt proud of ourselves. Wow, we finally got these brothers to wake up. When I say brothers, I'm talking about blacks in particular, but anyone that was sympathetic to their cause. Now we got the train hooked up where everybody see this potential boycott, and we start the train up again, and we rolling down the track, and we run to the window looking out to see where's all our patriots singing God bless America, because we're still their heroes. They weren't there. We don't have pregnancy. When that chicken laid the egg in the farm town that I grew up in New York, that egg didn't stay on the side, on the fence, it rolled to the right or it rolled to the left. There was no neutrality. I was you committed in this fight 1,000%. When they scorned me, talked about me, put me down, shunned my kids, sent my wife to her grave, everybody walked away from me. 44 years later, my God said it's time to turn things around. He said, nah, John, I'm going to make you an icon. I'm going to make you something that everyone wants to look up to, everyone wants to touch. I'm going to make you that icon that everybody want to rub up against you and take a picture with you. And all my buddies that was young with me at that time, they come up and they say, John, that's a beautiful statue they built at San Jose State, 26 feet tall, man. I just can't imagine that. But I think I should have a brick at the base of the statue with my name on it. Hey, man, whoa, don't take the picture yet. Let me get in the picture. I heard this high, I heard it low, and I heard it in between. And I thought, and I said, man, you know something? I love you more than yesterday and less than tomorrow. But you can never get in the picture. You can never have a brick with the base of the statue. Why not? We ran track together, we were here together, we were all down together. And this question comes from you when you go out to people when it comes time for you to be at the crossroads of your life and you have to make a decision. And you put it to them to make that same decision. And they say, well, why can't we get in the picture? Why can't we get that brick? I said, you can get it. Step up here. Get a little closer. Open up your shirt for me. Pull up your sleeves. Pull up your pants legs. Let me see your neck. What are you looking for, John? What are you looking for? I'm looking for the burns on your chest or on your leg or your back. Because those that stayed on the train had to take the heat. If you don't have no burns, that means you bailed. I can't change the course of history. I can't make a woman halfway pregnant. When my wife told me she was pregnant, she was all the way pregnant. What no 50 cent? What no half pregnancy? When that chicken laid the egg in the farm town that I grew up in New York, That egg didn't stay on the side, on the fence. It rolled to the right or it rolled to the left. There was no neutrality. How you committed in this fight 1,000%, or you're in America? Nobody remembers John Wayne. But everybody knows who Paul Robeson is. Everybody knows who Martin Luther King is. They even know who Harriet Tubman is. And then when you sit back and think about, here's for the white folks in the audience, to go through the civil rights marches in the South, many people had fear. To walk alongside Malcolm X, many people had fear. You know what I found? I found, and I want you guys to repeat this with me at least a couple of times. I am not, let me hear you say that. Afraid to offend my oppressor. Let me hear you say that again. I am not afraid to offend my oppressor. And that's the problem with 90% of the people. This is 10% strong. But 90% of the people, they run because they're afraid to offend the person that's oppressing them. For fear you might tell me I don't have a job. For fear you might tell my friends walk away. For fear your kids might get ridiculed. For fear that someone might take a dive and say I can't live this life no more. But the fight goes on. After letting my oppressor know, say, man, if I die, I'm going to wait for your ass because it ain't over. You sit back and think about Malcolm X, a Martin Luther King, a Gandhi. Those are three that went down by the shell. A Robert Kennedy. A John F. Kennedy, Michelle. They didn't kill Paul Robeson that way. They didn't kill Jack Johnson that way. They didn't kill Harriet Tubman that way. But they tried to kill them by destroying your will, to making you break down and have fear to offend your oppressor. Those individuals that I mentioned, if you think about it, you can name the greatest movie star that they had in England. And when he died, nobody remembered him. Think about the great Duke John Wayne in America. Nobody remembers John Wayne. But everybody knows who Paul Robeson is. Everybody knows who Martin Luther King is. They even know who Harriet Tubman is. And then when you sit back and think about, here's for the white folks in the audience that said, I believe in right. It ain't about race, it's about right versus wrong. John Brown's an icon. Peter Norman is an icon. These are guys that was on the other side of town that said, hey man, I ain't concerned with you trying to put the trick about a white versus black, because it ain't about white versus black. Those police that took these sisters, brothers, and kids, they were wrong. That's all we fight them on, is the fact that they're wrong, and anybody that's trying to cover for them, or the Supreme Court here in England, they're just as wrong. We had an atrocity that took place in America years ago, off a young fella by the name of Rodney King. Yes. Rodney King might have broke the law, but he didn't kill nobody. But they tried to kill him. And here you sit back and let me tell you about right versus wrong. It was 25 police. 13 of them beat him, kicked him, hit him, clubbed him, did everything they could do to him. 12 of them stood on the side and watched. My question to you is, who was wrong? Every last one of them knows that stood on the side and watched, they would be more guilty than the ones that was doing the clubbing. The only way we're going to change this is through the masses of law. We ain't about trying to break the law. We ain't trying to burn up the city. But you know, when you say burn up the city, I know I had a fire in me from the day I came to this world on June 5th, 1945. I had a fire from day one. And you know what the fire did for me? It made me have motion. It made me start to get busy in terms of not waiting on anyone else to make the changes that need to be made this week, with my shoulders in it and driving towards change. A lot of people stood on the side and watched. What is he doing? Oh, crazy Johnny. He's doing some crazy stuff again. Like I'll give you here, for instance, my old man taught me when I was a little kid the theory of 48 hours. I burned some trees down one day in my neighborhood. My mother said to me, Johnny, I don't come downstairs because of the caterpillars. What's the caterpillars? What that have to do with anything, Mama? She said, well, son, you know, I work in the hospital. I'm one of the nurses in the operating room, and caterpillars are so fragile. If they fall on you out the tree, you can't wipe it off because as soon as you touch it, it's going to bust. And by the time you put your hand to your side, you got a rash. I can't go in the operating room with a rash on me. I said, well, Mama, it ain't fair that you stay upstairs and all the other mothers downstairs talking and having a good time. I said, all right, Mama, I know what to do. Based on my father's theory of this 48 hours, I was old enough and wild enough to approach the manager of the project. And I said to him, I said, man, we have a problem. What's your problem? Now, I'm too young in the manager's eyes for me to be there and be concerned about a human issue. We have a problem. What's the problem? Caterpillars. When I said caterpillars, he looked at me, get out of my office, and he pushed the panic button. The police showed up and the project guard showed up, and they drugged me out. Well, I broke away and I ran back in, and I told the man, I said, you got 48 hours. The police looked at me and said, are you threatening him? No, sir, I'm not threatening him, but it's a money back guarantee. If he don't handle it, I'll be back to take care of it. And I gave him his 2 days. And after 2 days, then I had to get busy. It's just like Mexico City. I gave them their races. After those races, I had to get busy. I went and got some gas at a gas station. My father's friend at a gas station went down and said, hey, Mr. Garland, my father Pop said to send him some gas, he needs some gas. Well, what's he need it for? I don't know, Mr. Garland, but he said he needed it right away. Did you send a gas can? No, you didn't send a can. Go in there and get your can. Well, I got a big can. Did you send any money? He'll pay you later. All I had was intent to take care of the problem. When I threw the gas on the tree, I got a wake-up call because the fire jumped up so far it singed my face. But before I could hit the next tree, the fire leaped over. I burned 3 trees, and by the time the police came, they wrestled me to the ground. And now I have to go to court. They took me to jail. My mother said, Earl, I'm not going to the courthouse. I'm not going to let that boy embarrass me. See, a lot of you guys say, man, I don't want to go to the agony of being embarrassed. I don't want to go to the agony of them wrestling me down or locking me up. But when I went to court that day, the first day the judge looked at my father, people look at you and say, Mr. Collins, does your son have any mental deficiencies? Is anything wrong with him? My father said, none to my knowledge, Your Honor. Well, Mr. Collins, why would your son do what he did? Wasn't he concerned about the safety of the other people? My father said, well, that's a good question. Why don't we ask him, Your Honor? He didn't worry about it. You know, Dr. King didn't worry when he went to jail. He went to jail for the right reason. That's the way I felt as a little boy. If I go to jail, I'm going for the right reasons. When we come back from lunch, the judge called the manager back up. He said, yeah, how's the manager? Come up here again. He said, do you have any files? Yeah, one little thin piece of paper. He said to me, he said, is that all you have? The manager said, well, Your Honor, my secretary is sick and I didn't really know what the records are. But the judge was a smart judge. See, and they might have 99.9% of them in your corner, but it's 0.1% waiting for you to call on it. You got to find them. Because like I say, in the police department, all police ain't bad, all or nothing ain't bad. They got maybe 1 or 2 fair employment. And right now, when I say fair employment, It's wide open for you to go out and talk to people now because the crunch is on. Those that felt like they were safe, they're starting to lose their jobs. They want you to be second-class citizens in your own nation because the Olympics is coming here. Well, you know who gets the royal seat at the Olympics? The royal family. And you get the royal show. As I told the manager, the judge, they never sprayed the trees, John. He looked at my father and said, Mr. Carlson, is that true? When the last time they sprayed? My father said, well, Johnny was a little boy. The judge said to him, he said, well, the manager here, step up here. Let me see your paperwork. The manager said, well, I don't have your paperwork, Your Honor. Judge said, good time for us to take a break. See, it's a good time for you to stop them sometime, so let's take a break. Y'all ain't ready? I'm gonna give you a little time to get ready. Bring your papers back after lunch. We went to lunch. My father told me, he said, son, you might go to jail. They might lock you up in reform school. Like I was worried. You ain't worried about, you know, Dr. King didn't worry when he went to jail. He went to jail for the right reason. That's the way I felt as a little boy. If I go to jail, I'm going for the right reasons. When we come back from lunch, the judge called the manager back up. He said, yeah, how's the manager? Come up here again. He said, do you have any files? Yeah, one little thin piece of paper. He said to me, he said, is that all you have? The manager said, well, Your Honor, my secretary is sick and I didn't really know the records are. But the judge was a smart judge. See, and they might have 99.9% of them not in your corner, but it's 0.1% waiting for you to call on it. You got to find them. Because like I say, in the police department, all police ain't bad, all of nothing ain't bad. They got maybe one or two decent police. And you got to find him and you got to make him the town cry and say enough's enough. I'm tired of what I've seen happen for the last 10 or 20 years of my career in the police department. They're there. You got to seek them out. So now the manager says, oh, yes, this is all I have. And the judge looked up and said, well, we have someone here from the housing authority. Here come a guy bustling with a big load of papers. He said, could you tell me how often does the manager receive a stipend for spraying the trees? Shuffled through his papers. He said, well, they receive a stipend every year, Your Honor. He said, well, how many years did the project put down that they sprayed the trees? He said, every year, Your Honor. They put down every year they got it. He looked back at my father, he said, Mr. Collins, are you sure they haven't been spraying the trees? My father said, not to my recollection. Now, what happened was, they busted the manager because he'd been pocketing the money. So now, he gets fired right there in the court. Now, I'm starting to look a little better. I wasn't crazy Johnny no more. My daddy didn't tell me, boy, you're going to jail. And the judge told my father, said, you got a great son there. I'm not talking about that. About me being a great son. But here, what I want you to understand right now, what meant so much to me, and I think it should mean just as much to every one of you out here. You know, my father was a good, strong man, a loving man. He'll fight for me, do anything, but he'll get that butt when it was time to. But when we left the courtroom, you know, I expected my father to tell me about how proud he was of me, how happy he was. But you know, at 14 years old, my father looked at me and he told me, he said to me, he said, son, he said, I can't tell you about the pride that's busting loose in me and how happy you made me when I go home and tell your mom about how you conducted yourself. He said, but greater than all of that, I can't begin to tell you how much I respect you. Respect. And that's all you guys are looking for when you fight for the right thing and the right causes, is to make them respect you. You can't get mad because they put a move on you, because it's a game that we're in. And the game is called a game of life. Right. You can't win a game if you don't realize that you're in a game. Right. The object of the game is to win. You can lose because you ain't doing nothing. But you got to get up to the bat and say, I'm in this game to win. Because the game that you win is not for you. It's just like the sister said. It's for my kids. They ain't about me. In your life, the day you was born is not important. The day that you die is even less important. But what is important is what you did between those 2 days. God bless you and thank you.